I've been married 14 years and I just found my wife's second phone hidden in a bag of rice in our pantry. I don't even know how to start this. I'm not a writer. I work in logistics, I manage spreadsheets and shipping routes. I don't do feelings on the internet. But I've been sitting in my truck in the parking lot of a Wendy's for 2 hours because I can't go back inside my own house right now, and I needed to put this somewhere. I'm 47 years old. I've been married to Dana for 14 years. Together for 17. We have 2 kids, Micah, who's 15, and Priya, who's 11. I named our daughter after a woman I worked with in Singapore back in 2003 because Dana said the name was beautiful and she wanted something that meant something. That's the kind of person I thought she was. That's who I thought I married. So here's what happened. We've had a weird few months. Not fighting weird, just quiet weird. Dana works in HR for a mid-size healthcare company. She's been saying she's stressed, there's been a reorganization happening and she's been working late a lot. I didn't question it because I know her job genuinely sucks sometimes. She's complained about her director, a woman named Carol, for 3 years. That's real. I've heard it. So when she started coming home at 8, 9 at night, I just assumed Carol was being Carol. Last Thursday I'm making dinner. I'm doing this thing where I cook the rice in a specific bag we keep in the pantry, it's just a system I have. When I reach in to grab the measuring cup I keep in there, my hand hits something hard. I pull it out and it's a phone. Not her regular phone, which was sitting on the counter charging. A different phone. An older model, one of those smaller iPhones, maybe a 6 or 7. No case. Nothing. I just stood there holding it. My first thought, I swear to God, my first thought was that it was Micah's. That he'd hidden it from us because we have this rule about screens in bedrooms after 9. That's genuinely where my brain went, because it was less horrible than where it went 2 seconds later. I pressed the home button. It asked for a passcode. I tried Micah's birthday out of habit. Wrong. I tried Dana's birthday. Wrong. I tried our wedding anniversary. Wrong. I tried Priya's birthday. It opened. I don't know how long I stood there in the pantry. The rice was boiling over on the stove, and I didn't notice until the smoke alarm went off. I silenced the alarm. I turned off the stove. I went and sat at the kitchen table and I looked at that phone. The texts were with someone saved as Jay, and I'm going to be honest with you, I only read maybe 4 or 5 before I had to stop. Not because there wasn't more. Because there was so much more. Months worth. The most recent one was 2 days ago. It said, and I'm typing this from memory because I didn't screenshot anything like an idiot, something like, tonight was exactly what I needed. I keep thinking about your hands. There was a response from Jay that said, same. When can we do this again properly, not just an hour? And Dana had responded with a smiley face and, working on it. Working on it. I put the phone back in the rice bag. I don't know why. Some instinct to not let her know I knew yet, I think. Or maybe I just needed time to not fall apart in front of my kids. Priya came home from her friend's house around 6. I made her a peanut butter sandwich because the rice was ruined and I couldn't think straight enough to cook anything. She asked me if I was okay, and I told her I had a headache. She patted my arm. She's 11. She patted my arm like a little adult, then went to do her homework. Dana came home at 8:30. She kissed me on the cheek. She asked how my day was. She opened a bottle of wine and told me Carol had rescheduled a meeting for the 3rd time and it was driving her insane. I watched her. I watched her pour the wine and lean against the counter and complain about Carol, and I kept thinking, who is Jay? Who is Jay? Who is Jay? I said, how was your evening otherwise? And she said, fine, boring, just worked late, ate at my desk. She looked right at me when she said it. No flinching, no hesitation, nothing. I went to bed early. I said the headache was getting worse. She said she'd be up in a bit and that she was sorry I wasn't feeling well. I lay in the dark for 2 hours listening to her move around downstairs. Friday and Saturday I was on autopilot. I was functional. I coached Micah's Saturday soccer practice because I'm one of the assistant coaches, and I just went. I ran drills. I told kids to keep their elbows in. I drove home. Dana had made lunch. We ate together as a family, and she laughed at something Micah said and touched my hand when she passed me the salt. Last night I couldn't sleep at all. I kept going back and forth between needing to confront her immediately and needing more information first. Because here's the thing, I don't know who Jay is. I don't know how long this has actually been going on beyond the last few months of texts I could see. I don't know if this is the first time or if I've been an idiot for years. I don't know anything except that my wife has a hidden phone in our pantry and she's thinking about someone else's hands. I went back to the phone this morning while Dana was in the shower and dug further back in the texts. They go back at least 8 months. 8 months of messages, some of them just logistic stuff, like can you do Thursday, I might be able to get away by 7, Some of them more than that, things I don't want to type out here. There's a point about 5 months back where Jay says something like, I don't want to keep doing this if nothing's going to change. And Dana says, I know, I'm figuring it out, just give me time. Figuring it out. Give me time. I still don't know who Jay is from the text alone. There's no last name. There's no context that makes it obvious. Could be someone from work. Could be someone I've met. Could be someone I've never heard of. The number's saved just as Jay with no last name, and I don't have a way to look up whose number that is without it being obvious I'm looking. This morning I was in the kitchen when Dana came downstairs, and she said, You were quiet lately. You okay? And I almost lost it right there. I said, Work stuff, and she nodded and poured her coffee and said, You should take a mental health day. You've been running yourself into the ground. I said, Yeah, maybe. She left for work at 8:15. Normal. Completely normal. Kissed me on the cheek again. I've been in this Wendy's parking lot since 10. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I confront her tonight, tomorrow, ever. I don't know if I need a lawyer first. I don't know if I should try to find out who Jay is before I say anything. I have people on Reddit suggesting I do all kinds of things in my head preemptively because I've read enough of these posts to know what the comments are going to say. What I keep coming back to is Priya patting my arm. She knew something was wrong, and she was trying to make it better with an 11-year-old's toolkit. And I think about how I'm going to have to tell my kids something at some point, some version of something, and I can't even figure out what the true version is yet. My phone just buzzed. It's Dana. She says, Hey, any chance you can pick up Priya from school today? I have a thing that might run late. I'm staring at that message. A thing. I haven't responded yet. I'm thinking about whether I say yes and just go pick up my daughter like a normal person, or whether I ask her what thing, or whether I follow her. I've never followed anyone in my life. I don't know who I am right now. Update 1. Okay, so a lot of people told me to get a lawyer before doing anything else, and I hear that, I do. But I want to tell you what actually happened first because it's been 4 days and things have moved faster than I expected, and not in the direction I thought. I said yes to picking up Priya. Obviously. She's 11. She needs a ride home. I'm her dad. That part was simple, even when nothing else was. What I did after I sent that text was sit in the Wendy's parking lot for another 40 minutes trying to decide if I was going to drive past Dana's office. Her building is about 12 minutes from where I was. I know the parking garage. I know her car, a gray Subaru Forester with a dent on the rear passenger door from when Micah backed his bike into it 2 years ago. I know exactly what I would have been looking for. I didn't do it. I want to be clear that I made a choice not to, not that I couldn't. I decided that if I sat outside her building like a private investigator in a movie, I was going to feel like a different person than I wanted to be. Maybe that's stupid. A lot of the comments on my first post said I needed more evidence before confronting her. Maybe they're right. But I drove to Priya's school instead, and I sat in the pickup line behind a minivan with an honor roll bumper sticker. I watched my daughter come out of the building with her backpack on and her ponytail half falling out, and I thought, she has no idea. She has absolutely no idea that anything is wrong. She got in the car and said, Dad, you look terrible, and I said, Thanks, Priya, and she said, No, actually, are you sick? And I said, A little bit. Don't worry about it. She put her AirPods in, and we drove home. Dana got home at 7:30. She seemed fine. Normal. She brought takeout, Thai food. She said she figured no one felt like cooking. She'd gotten me the green curry I like without being asked. We ate at the table, and Micah complained about his history teacher. Priya showed us something on her iPad. Dana laughed. I ate my curry and watched my wife and thought, You are so good at this. That's what kept hitting me. She's so good at it. 14 years, and I never once suspected anything was wrong until I literally had a phone in my hand. I'm not an unobservant person. I run logistics. I notice when things are off. But I didn't notice this, and that means she's been careful. That means this isn't the first time she's lied to my face and I believed her. After the kids went to bed, I was in the garage pretending to do something with the recycling, and Dana came out and stood in the doorway and said, Okay, what's actually going on with you? You've been somewhere else all week. And I just looked at her. I had this whole thing in my head, this plan. I was going to stay calm. I was going to say I found something and I needed her to explain it. I was going to keep my voice level and not say anything I couldn't take back. What came out was, Who is Jay? Just that. Flat. No explanation. She went completely still. Not the kind of still where you're confused and thinking. The kind of still where your body already knows what question just got asked. She said, What? I said, The phone in the pantry. Jay, who is it? I watched her face do something I can't fully describe. It wasn't guilt, exactly. It was more like a calculation happening very fast behind her eyes. And then she sat down on the step that goes into the kitchen from the garage, put her face in her hands, and said, "How long have you known?" Not what phone, not I don't know what you're talking about. She just went straight to how long have you known. 14 years, and I never knew her to be anything but honest. I didn't know she had this in her. I said, "A few days. Tell me who it is." She said, "I need you to stay calm." I said, "I am calm. Tell me who it is." And she looked up at me and said, "It's someone from work." That's all I got that night. Because right then Micah came into the garage asking where the phone charger was, and we both snapped back into normal people mode so fast it made my head spin. Dana told him to check the junk drawer, her voice completely steady. He wandered off. She looked at me and said, "Not tonight, not here. Can we please not do this tonight?" And I said, "When?" And she said, "Tomorrow. I'll take a half day." I don't know why I agreed to that. I think I was just tired. I slept on the couch. I told her my back was bothering me, which is a thing that happens sometimes, so she didn't push it. I lay on the couch in my own living room and listened to the house be quiet and thought about the fact that she said stay calm before she said anything else. Like her first instinct was to manage me. Tomorrow's the half day. That was yesterday's tomorrow. Meaning today. I have to go in about an hour. Update 2. The conversation happened. I've been trying to figure out how to write this out for 2 days because it didn't go the way I expected, and I'm still not sure what to do with what I know now. Dana took her half day. Kids were at school. She made coffee, which felt insane, like we were about to have a normal Saturday morning conversation, and she sat across from me at the kitchen table and said, "His name is Jason. He's in our legal department. His name is Jason." I don't know why hearing it as a real name hit differently than Jay. Jay was abstract. Jason is a person who exists in a building my wife goes to every day. I asked how long. She said 8 months. Which matched the texts. So she wasn't trying to minimize it. I asked if it was physical, and she said yes. She held my eyes when she said it, which I both respected and hated. I asked if she was in love with him. She was quiet for a long time. Long enough that I had my answer before she said anything. Then she said, "I don't know. I think I have feelings I didn't expect to have, and I don't know what to do with them." I said, "You've had 8 months to figure out what to do with them." She said, "I know." I said, "Does he know you're married?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Does he have a family?" She said, "He's divorced. No kids." I kept going. I don't know why I needed all of it right then, but I did. I asked her if any of the late nights were real, about Carol and the reorganization, and she said some of them were and some of them weren't. She said Carol is genuinely difficult and the reorganization is genuinely happening, but maybe 3 or 4 times a month she was with Jason instead. 3 or 4 times a month for 8 months. I did the math at the table in front of her. I don't know why. I just said, "That's 30 plus times," and she flinched. Then she said something that I've been turning over in my head ever since. She said, "I'm not trying to justify it. But I've been really lonely, and I didn't know how to tell you that." I said, "Lonely?" She said, "We've been running parallel to each other for years. You know that. You feel it too." And here's the part I hate to admit, I do know what she means. These last few years have been functional. Good, even, from the outside. But there's been this thing where we're co-parenting and cohabitating, and we're kind to each other, we're not mean people, but somewhere along the way, the reaching stopped. The reaching toward each other. And I know that. I've known it. I just thought it was what long marriages felt like. I didn't say any of that to her. I said, "Being lonely doesn't explain a second phone and a bag of rice." She said, "No, it doesn't." Then she said the thing that actually broke me a little, not in a forgiving way, just in a "this is genuinely complicated" way. She said, "I've been trying to figure out for months whether I wanted to fix our marriage or whether I wanted to leave it. And I know that's a terrible thing to say, and I know keeping it from you while I figured it out was wrong. I know that." I said, "And have you figured it out?" Long pause. She said, "I think I want to try to fix it. If you're willing. But I understand if you're not." I stood up. I said, "I need some time." And I went and got in my truck. I'm not in a Wendy's this time. I'm parked outside a Home Depot because I actually need to buy weather stripping for the back door, which is a stupid, mundane thing to need in the middle of this, but the draft is getting bad, and I noticed it last week and wrote it on my list. Apparently, my brain is still making lists. I don't know if I believe her that she wants to fix it. I don't know if I want to fix it either. I don't know what fixing it even means when I can't stop picturing 30 plus times and thinking about your hands and thinking about her pouring wine and telling me Carol rescheduled a meeting. I called my brother last night. He's 3 years older than me, been through a divorce himself, not for this reason, but still. He said, don't make any big decisions for 30 days. He said it like it was a rule. I don't know if I can do 30 days. My list still says weather stripping, back door. I'm going to go buy the weather stripping. Update 3. I need to write this out because something happened that I didn't expect, and I don't have anyone I can tell. So for about a week after the conversation, I was in this holding pattern. Dana and I were civil. Not warm, not normal, just civil. She wasn't hiding the second phone anymore. I'd seen it moved from the pantry, and I don't know where it went. I didn't ask. We hadn't told the kids anything. We were performing a functional household every morning and every evening, then retreating to separate silences at night. I was sleeping in the bed again, just because the couch thing wasn't sustainable, and also I didn't want to answer Micah's questions. We were sleeping on opposite sides with about a foot of space between us that felt like a mile. I'd been going back and forth about whether to look up this Jason. I knew his first name, I knew the company, I knew legal department. LinkedIn makes it very easy to find someone if you have those 3 things. I kept not doing it, and then 4 days ago, I did. He's 41. He's got one of those professional headshots where you can tell the person was coached to look approachable. Brown hair, medium build, nothing remarkable. I stared at his face for a long time, trying to feel something specific, and what I felt was mostly just tired. And then I saw we had a mutual connection. Not a distant one. A direct one. His second connection to me was through my friend Tom, who I've known for 11 years, who came to our wedding, who has had dinner at my house probably 40 times. I sat with that for a while. Then I called Tom. I didn't ask him directly. I said something like, do you know a Jason who works at Dana's company? I think I recognize him from somewhere. And Tom got quiet in a way that answered the question before he said a word. He said, why are you asking? I said, Tom. He said, shit. He said, how much do you know? I said, enough. How much do you know? And it turns out Tom has known since around month 3. Dana told him. Asked him not to say anything. He said he told her she needed to either end it or tell me, and she said she was working on it. He said he felt like he couldn't betray her confidence, but also felt sick about it every time he saw me. He said, I almost told you like 6 times. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, man. I said, I need a couple days before I can talk to you again. He said, I understand. I hung up. So now it's not just the affair. It's that my wife told my friend before she told me. My friend sat across from me at my kitchen table, eating dinner with my family, knowing what he knew and saying nothing. I understand why, kind of, in a detached, logical way. But I can't make myself be okay with it yet. I told Dana that night that I knew about Tom. She looked like she'd been caught in a second thing on top of the first thing, which I guess she had. She said, I needed someone to talk to. I said, I'm sure you did. I didn't have anything else to say after that. I've been doing a lot of driving at night after the kids are in bed. Just around. I know every street in a 4-mile radius now. My brother keeps checking in. He asks how I'm doing, and I say fine, and he doesn't believe me. We stay on the phone anyway, not saying much. Dana asked me 2 nights ago if I'd thought about whether I wanted to try couples therapy. She said she'd been looking into it, there's someone who specializes in this. I said I'd think about it. I've been thinking about it. The thing I keep landing on is that I don't know what I'm angry at most. The affair itself. The lying. The fact that she told Tom. The fact that when I asked if she wanted to fix things, she said I think, not yes, like she's still not fully sure. The fact that I kind of understand what she meant about the loneliness, even though I wish I didn't. That last one is the one that keeps me up the most. Because if I'm honest, and I'm only honest at 1 in the morning, parked outside the elementary school like a weirdo, I know that the last few years, I've been checked out in my own way. Not with another person. But just gone somewhere. Into work, into logistics, into coaching soccer and fixing draft problems and maintaining the household, and never once asking her or myself whether we were actually okay. That doesn't make what she did okay. I need to be clear about that. I'm not sitting here deciding I deserve this or that it's equal somehow. It's not. But I'm sitting here not knowing if the marriage I'd be trying to save is the one we had or some different one that would have to be built from scratch. And I don't know if I have that in me. And I don't know if she does either. She came out of the house just now with a mug of something and knocked on the truck window. I rolled it down. She said, come inside. It's cold. I said, in a minute. She stood there for a second. Then she said, I'm not going anywhere tonight. I'm just here. I don't know what that means exactly. I don't know what I want it to mean. She went back inside. The light in the kitchen is still on. I'm going to go in. Not because I've decided anything. Just because it's cold and the light is on. Hi there, if you made it so far. Consider dropping a like and maybe subscribing. Thanks. And have a nice one.